Hey there, it's Austin Bach, and we're back in the Magic Online beta with some more Aether Revolt standard action. And standard just got shaken up pretty badly this morning when 3 cards got banned from the format. 3 of the most dominant cards. In fact, I think pretty much every deck got something banned out of it, so we're definitely going to see some innovation in the new standard format. And today we've got a deck that uses a lot of the new Aether Revolt cards to try to do something sweet, and I think this deck actually has some legs in the format, so we're gonna go over it and go through some matches and see how we do. So this is a deck built around Winding Constrictor, which basically gives you an additional counter every time something gets a counter, either a +1 counter or an energy counter or whatever. So we're built around +1/+1 counters. We've seen this with what was the card called from Khans of Tarkir block, the 1 mana enchantment that basically did the exact same thing, gave you an extra counter on everything. Hardened Scales, was that? Yeah, that's what it was called. So it's same idea with Nissa Voice of Zendikar, but we are green-black instead of green-white, mostly for the Constrictor, but also for Fatal Push, just good removal, murder. And then we've got some new cards like Scrounging Bandar, which is kind of crappy looking, but 2 mana, comes in with 2 counters, and then you can move counters around. This card works really well with the Constrictor, because if you move a counter with it onto another creature, it'll lose that counter, but then the other creature will get that many +1, so you net a counter every turn, essentially. And if you have 2 Bandars in play, you can move the counters back and forth to do the same thing and just go quote-unquote infinite every upkeep. Not actual infinite, because you can only do it once. It's not a repeatable effect, but you get the idea. Then we've got Rishkar, which is a 3-drop that comes in with 4 power and toughness, because it distributes 2 +1/+1 counters. So obviously same idea. You can do even more than 4 power, and you can make mana with it, which is really nice. Nissa we've already talked about. Armorcraft Judge is not a new card, but it got a lot better with some of the new options. It essentially just draws you 3 or 4 cards at the minimum if you've got a decent board state going, and you can just completely run away with a game. Verdurous Gearhulk makes counters, just the perfect top-end card for this deck. And Walking Ballista, I think, is one of the most important cards from the new set. I think it is my vote for the most underrated card from Aether Revolt. Sort of like Hangerback Walker, XX for 0/0, comes in with counters. Pay 4 to put a counter on it, which is nice with the Constrictor in multiple ways. And removing a counter to deal 1 damage looks pretty innocuous, but it's actually really powerful. This is actually, I think, going to be one of the most important cards for dealing with the Saheeli Ray combo, because it lets you interact with it while you're tapped out, because when your opponent tries to Saheeli minus to target their Felidar Guardian, you can remove a counter to shoot the Saheeli, because it'll only have 1 loyalty on it. So I think that's going to be a pretty important card for the new standard format. And then we've got Fatal Push, as I said. We've got a couple cards that work with it. The Ballista and the Bandar have the ability to kill themselves pretty much at will by going down to 0/0s, so you can trigger Revolt that way. We have Evolving Wilds, also works with it. Nissa can sometimes put herself in the graveyard by -2ing. We're trying out 1 copy of Animation Module today. Don't know how good it's going to be, but just a kind of a fun of. It might be too cute, but you never know. Does some nice things with +1 counters. Works well with Nissa, because you can go wide with 1/1s. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I don't think there's anything too crazy going on here, but sideboard just sort of thrown together. A couple new cards in here. Lifecrafter's Bestiary seems really nice against a control deck. Gives you scry power and draw power. Just dig through your deck faster. Yahini's Expertise is really nice against aggro decks. Any deck that's trying to go wide. This is just like the ultimate trump card. And then just a smattering of other removal options and disruption. So Yep, as I said, pretty simple deck, but I think it's got a lot of sweet things going for it, and we're going to take it into some matches.